Tell you a story? Okay. Okay. That link on the internet, thank you for the 7 ketamine coma. Thank you for the biddies, baby. Okay. You guys want to hear a story? I haven't told this in a while, but would you guys like to hear my ghost stories? Yeah? Okay, give me a second. Let me put on some spoopy. Do I even have spoopy? I don't even have spoopy music. Let's just run some piano. Okay. Let's see. What's the first one I should tell? The first one that ever happened to me? Okay, let's do the first one. Okay. My first really weird experience with like supernatural and all that. So I was like, I think I was 9. Yeah, 9. And we lived in an apartment. My room was about half the size of this room. I don't think you guys can see it unless you like watch the house tour, but half the size of this room. And so basically there's the door. The door is right here. Here, let's just say the door's right here. Okay, here's the door. And then the bunk bed is over here with my brothers. And then there's across from us is a dresser with the CRT TV. Okay, so that's my room, pretty tiny. I was on the top bunk, and then my 2 younger brothers were on the bottom bunk. And okay, so I went to sleep that night, and then I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know what time it was, but middle of the night. Usually, sometimes I wake up, sometimes I don't, but this time I woke up in the middle of the night. And what I like to do is, we didn't have a nightlight or anything like that, so to help me go back to sleep, I would need a source of light, right? So we had a CRT TV on the dresser across from me. So what I would do is I would climb down the stairs, go over to the CRT TV, turn it on, turn it to 1 volume, so there was like no sound whatsoever, and then I would turn it to the Poltergeist channel. So I'd never watched Poltergeist in my life at that point. I had no idea what it was, so I would change it to the black and white static channel. You know what I'm talking about? So just for a source of light, right? And I turned it all the way down to like 1 volume or 0, whatever it was. So there was no sound and wake up other people. So I'll just turn it on to that, and then I crawl back up my ladder, and I get into bed. And before I lay my head down to go to sleep, I would do like this routine where I would look around the bunk bed at the bottom of the floor to make sure, there's no like under the bed monsters and stuff like that. Make sure the coast is clear, before I rest my head down and go back to sleep. And so my first look, I look right in front of the CRT TV in the dresser, and then I start panning over towards the door, and then on next to the door is our closet with our toy box, right? So as soon as I pan over, holy, there's like something in my eyeball. As soon as I pan over to the closet, for some reason, like our closet was always open, and there was a big old toy box that would jut out of the closet, right? Like it would jut out of the closet with our toys because you can't even close the door. But when I looked at the closet, it was just pitch black. I couldn't even see the toy box. I saw nothing. It was just pure black, right? And and then my brain was like, what the fuck is going on? I had no idea what was happening. Like it was just pure black, couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden in my brain, let's go Pike. Yeah, all of a sudden in my brain, I was like, wait a minute. I feel like something's there when I'm looking at it. So my eyes just like lock on to this space in the air, and then my eyes start following something that's flying through the air, like really walking through the air really slowly. And I'm watching it, and it starts walking towards the CRT TV, and my eyes are following it. And as soon as it gets to the CRT TV, the TV just turns off instantly as soon as I look at it. And then I was like, holy shit. And I just put my head under the blanket and forced myself to go to sleep when I was a little kid. I had no idea what the fuck was going on, but it was a yikes for me. So that was my first experience with supernatural, right? It was really weird. And then, okay, same house, same apartment. I wake up in the middle of the night again. And this time, there's no way in hell I'm going to turn on that CRT TV, right? You got me fucked up. I'm going to turn it back on. So I wake up, and then for some reason, I don't know, like, you know the term where your eyes play tricks on you? I woke up, and on the dresser, there was like this squirrel phantasm running around. My door was open, and then this fucking big old phantasm was like walking in between me and my parents' doors. And then I looked down on the floor, and then there's the ghost of Chucky, right? This fucking literally like blue and white phantasm of Chucky having a knife going to stab my little brothers on the bottom bunk. And I was like, what? And for some reason, I don't know what overwhelmed me, like some sort of bravery or some shit, but I went down the ladder, and Chucky obviously tried to stab me as I was coming down the ladder, right? And I jumped into the bottom bunk with my two younger brothers, and so basically, Chucky was trying to get up on the bottom bunk to kill my brothers. That's what was happening. Like, I was awake this whole time. And so I tried to wake up my two younger brothers. My littlest brother, Benjamin, did not wake up at all. He could give two fucks less what was going on and just fucking in his sleeping. I'm like, okay, dude. So I wake up my middle brother, which is Josh, and he wakes up. And so I'm like, Josh, do you see that? And he woke up, right? And he was like, yeah, I see it. And I believed him. And literally we were up for like, I think it was like an hour, putting pillows in front of us and like throwing shit at Chucky to like make him get the fuck out, right? So we were just doing that the whole time, scared as fuck. And then all of a sudden, on our front door, because my room door was open, right? Our front door, we have like a bolt lock. So you can hear that shit in the entire house. So you know how it goes. So the front door goes, and then nothing happens for like 10 seconds. All right. And then the front door swings open. Nothing happens again. And then I call out because my mom used to work graveyard shift, right? Oh shit, let's fuck out of here. My mom works graveyard shift, and I call out, Mom, and there's no response, right? Nothing. I'm just sitting there. We're just both sitting there. I'm like, holy fuck, this is hella scary. And then like a couple 10 seconds later, my mom calls back Zach and then turns on the lights and everything disappears. Like all the ghost shit just disappeared instantly. So that was the second time. Okay. So what did we say? We said the CRT TV, Chucky, and then... Oh, that's right. So let's move on to the next part of the story. So, all right. So I think like two, maybe it was the Halloween that was coming up. So like I was maybe 2 years. Yeah. Once I was 11. So I was 11, and then Halloween was coming up, and I think it was, we were driving back from after we went on some street and walked down it for Halloween treats and shit like that with my brothers. And then my dad was driving, and since we were driving back, my dad was like, he was decided to tell a story about what happened to him. So this is his story, and then I'll go into what happened to me. So my dad, as we're driving home, tells me a story. So when he was a kid, he was pretty young, and I don't know, it was maybe like 4 or 5. I don't know how old he was, but he would, his mom would lay down next to him and then turn on the TV and wait for him to fall asleep before she would go to sleep. So that's what would happen. And then what he had said was, all right, my dad woke up in the middle of the night and, you know, TV was off. Mom fell asleep right next to him and the door was open from the room that they were in, and it led out into the living room where there was a table, coffee table with like, looked like grocery bags underneath it or something like that, right? And it looked really awkward, like he thought it was just groceries. So as he went to go put his head down, they moved. The grocery bags moved, right? And he started staring at it because it was moving like abnormally. And all of a sudden, his story is like, all of a sudden it had these like red eyes and it started calling his name. And I'll never forget this, how my dad said it, because holy fuck. Okay, anyway, so my dad, he was like, it started calling his name and it was going like this. And my dad just like said it exactly like that. And I'm like 10 and 11, right? 10 or 11. So after he told this story, by the end of it, it was calling his name and it felt like he was being pulled towards whatever was underneath the coffee table. So it was like he's getting up out of bed and started walking towards it. And then, you know, all of a sudden his mom like makes a noise, like, something like that when she's like sleeping, and it goes away. So after that story, like a couple weeks later, I'm in my room by myself with the bunk bed, you know, dresser, CRT TV, and I'm sitting on the top of my bunk bed, and it feels really weird. Do you know that
Afro, stop. I hate scary stories and movies. I may be a black male, but fuck scary shit.
It's okay, man. So you know that feeling that you get in your chest when you know something is wrong, or let's say you're arguing and like you get just a bunch of pressure in your chest, like when that happens, right? Or you're uncomfortable, right? So I'm sitting at the top of my bunk bed, and all of a sudden I just get the feeling like something's wrong, like something's really weird, like, you know, the spider sense. There we go, Dr. Snacking. There we go. So I'm sitting at the top of my bed, and I'm like, okay, where is it coming from? And it's coming from underneath the bunk bed, the weird feeling, right? So as I'm at the top of my bunk bed, I look over the side to see down the bunk bed, and as soon as I look over, what comes back at me is like this fucking like gust of air, and then the noise from my dad's story, which is now I started hearing my name, where I look over the bed and it's like, Zach. And I just fucking jumped off of the top of my bunk bed and ran out the room. I was like, fuck this. So after that, then we moved out of the apartment and went to live with my grandma. She lived in South Central in LA. So our house had 3 gates on it. So one sliding gate, you close it and you lock it. And then the next gate is like double door gate. So you push those closed and then you lock it. And then you have a gate on front of our front door. You lock that and then you lock the actual door. So that's where we lived. And it was pretty tiny. Couldn't really go outside to play and stuff like that. But that's where we live. And so the voice thing from my dad's story happened to me all the time. So when I was little, I had to sleep with the blanket over my ear so that I could shove it in my ear so I wouldn't hear any sounds, you know. That's how I had to sleep. So the first night I stayed there, my grandma had her room and then another side room. And guess what? There was a bed in there and a bathroom, but guess what my grandma collects? My great grandma. Guess what she collects and puts in that room? It's all dolls. All dolls out of the box. puts them up on the wall, and there's like hundreds. Right. So the first night, at the opposite side of the house is my mom and dad's bedroom. We were staying there, and then the bedroom with my two brothers.
At that point, Zach, you might as well get a new name. If a ghost called my name, I would get a whole new identity and move to Waikiki or something. Ghost can't travel to other continents, right? Right?
So my brothers were in that room, and I like my name, man. Come on, man. I love my name. So yeah, my brothers were in the room. My parents were in the room, and then all the way across the house is like my grandma in the side room, where my mom is like, Zach, you're gonna stay in this room and you're gonna like it. And I'm just like begging, please, please, mom, don't let me stay here. Right? I did not want to stay in there for my fucking life. It was just terrifying. So let me finish this. So I'm forced to stay in the room, and I go in the bed and I sleep. So I sleep and I instantly wake up like 3 hours, like 2 hours later, 3 hours later, because, you know, I get the feeling again, something's wrong, right? I wake up and it's like, you know, something's looking at me. Like, you get that feeling when you're in a room with dolls, right? You just feel like you looked at, like instantly. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not I'm not staying in this room. So I immediately like look around. I'm like, oh hell no. So I get out of the room, go sleep with my brothers in that room, and then after that night, parents decided to give me a mattress, and then we put the space on the floor, and I would just sleep on a mattress in the living room floor, right next to a ventilation shaft in the ground that led to underneath the house. So underneath the house, you could literally stand up underneath the house. There was no basement, but our house was like built in the air, so there was an underground part where the ventilation shaft was coming from, where it led to. Okay, and that's where my head was, right next to, right? So every night when I would sleep there, the ventilation shaft, the same noise would happen, where it was like every time I slept there, like no matter what, constantly. I'm just sitting. I'm like, oh my god, dude. So it continued like that for a while, but then besides that, I didn't really have any other supernatural experiences. Right? Oh, sorry, it's a flash right there. Nice. At my great grandma's house, and then we moved to the house we're currently at, and
actually call child services on her. Fuck that shit. You actually stayed in there? Man, you got balls of steel. I can barely watch My Little Ponies with getting scared. You are the real Solida, not me. I am serving in Korea for no reason at this point.
Alright, that's the bottom of her Zari, no flash. So, and then yeah, we moved to the house where my parents are staying at now, and then I started living at the CLG compound house, where it was like the previous house they were at, not the ones they're living at right now. And so we'll continue that next. Okay. So anyway, where did I leave off at? All right, the mattress in the living room, ventilation shaft, saying, okay, that's what happened. Okay, anyway, all right, we moved up to the place we're living at now, and then I was on CLG, and we were living on the compound, in like the 4-house compound with the parking lot. Okay, so I guess I'll tell the one at my parents' house currently. So we moved into the house, and nothing happened for a long time, like 3 years, 4 years. And then, pretty sure my brother doesn't know this, maybe he does, but my middle brother, Josh, for some reason, never sleepwalked before. He started sleepwalking. all of a sudden, like 1 week, like just for a week, that was it, right? He started sleepwalking just randomly. I've never done it before. So what he would do is he would get up out of his bed at night and then walk to the stairs and sit down. And we would call his name and he wouldn't respond, right? At all. He would just sit there and stare down the stairs. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Right? And then the next thing he would do is like get up, start walking towards the bathroom, and then he would walk into the bathroom. He wouldn't go to the bathroom, but he would just stand there in front of the mirror and stare. And I have no idea what the fuck he's doing. So it's only happened for a week. So the first couple of days, like, we're following him around, like trying to wake him up, like, what the hell are you doing, bro? Right? And so I stopped caring because like it was happening. And then one of the days I was in my room sleeping, and Josh wakes up, sleepwalks, and then turns on the lights upstairs. We have a 2-story house. Turns on the lights upstairs, and I think it was at like 3 a.m. So my mom usually wakes up around that time to prepare like our lunch, around 4 a.m. right? Prepare our lunch and stuff like that. So all the lights are on, and she opens her door, and my brother, my mom told me this, is standing in front of my door, just staring at it while he's sleeping. Literally standing in front of my door while I'm sleeping. And I only know this because my mom told me. Like, I don't know what he was doing, just standing there, but it's yikes for me. And then after that, he didn't sleepwalk anymore. Okay, so that's what happened. Now, at my parents' house now, I have no idea when it happened, but for some reason, me as a person, I can just, I don't know if it's like I have a spiritual affinity for like when I feel like there's something there or so, whatever. I don't know what it's called. Totally forgot the word or whatever.
6
but
months, let's go, boys.
Now when I'm home, there's like this ghost that's at the house, and it follows me around, but every time I come home, it's there. And whenever I'm streaming at home, when you guys see me streaming at my parents' house, if I ever am streaming at night and I get up to go like get water or a snack, okay, the homie's there. So this is what happens. It literally follows me around the house when I'm at my parents' house, right? So it's like standing outside my door. As soon as I open the door, well, if I'm ever streaming there, it's standing there at the top of the stairs just staring at me. And it's like neutral, right? It doesn't really do anything to me, but I know it's following me. So I don't really care about it too much, but whenever I walk down the stairs, it'll follow me down the stairs. And then while I'm getting my snacks or my water or anything like that, it stands at the bottom of the stairs while I'm in the kitchen, just staring at me. Like I can feel it, right? Like it's there. And I don't mind it, but that's what happens. So I literally just get all my shit and then go back upstairs. And sometimes like when I'm walking up the stairs, it'll make a noise. Like it'll either bang on a cabinet or some shit like that. And I'll literally sprint up the stairs. Cause fuck that, right? So I go into my room. So that's the ghost that happens at my parents' house. Now, going towards the CLG compound house. When I was on CLG for 4 years, I think we moved from like 3 houses, but the compound house where there's the house tour with the pool, you guys know what I'm talking about? You probably watched it already. But actually, should we do CLG house or do the railroad with my first girlfriend? You want that one? Let's do the railroad one first. Let's do the railroad. So one night when I was with my first girlfriend, we'll just call her Sarah because for shits and giggles, her name's Sarah. It's not a real name, but anyway, her and her friends, we were at university, and her and her friends decided, let's go ghost hunting, right? And I think the idea is just completely fucking dumb. Like, this is ridiculous, guys. Why do you guys want to do this? Blah blah blah. And everyone's all down for it, so I get fucking forced to go. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so we're looking up on the internet, where to go and stuff like that. So the first option, we get in a car, we start going, and we're going to a cemetery. Pretty fucking dumb. We get to the cemetery, it's closed, so they decide, let's hop the fence. So we hop the fence And we get into the cemetery and start walking around, and it's fucking real spoopy, bro. Like, it just feels like you shouldn't be there. Hella awkward. And I'm like, I just want to go. Like, everyone else started feeling really weird, so we got the hell out of there real quick. All right, jump the wall. And then we're sitting in the car, and one of our friends looks up this area you can go to for a supernatural experience, which is this railroad. And the story goes, let me pause a minute. I can't fucking hear myself. All right, so the story goes is, on this railroad track there was a bus full of like kids, and the bus broke down on the railroad track as a train was coming, and the train hit the bus and all the kids died. So I'm pretty sure you guys have heard that story before, right? So what it explained to do was drive the car to the railroad, turn off all your lights, put the car in neutral, you know, and then just sit there. And then you'll get pushed down the road away from the railroad track. So that's what it said to do. So we went there. There was 5 of us. And right next to the railroad track, we stopped the car, turn off all the lights, put it in neutral, and we're just sitting there. Right? Nothing's happening. It's like a minute, and nothing's really happening. We're waiting for something to happen. And great idea. One of her friends says to the only dude in the car, actually there were 2 dudes, yeah, one of the dudes in the car, to go outside and check to see if we're doing it right. Right? And so as we say it, the car starts moving. No one's outside of the car. We're all inside the car. As someone says someone to go check, we start moving down the road. And it's not like a steep hill. It's just like really, really slight. But when we were sitting in neutral, we weren't moving. But then the car starts moving. So we started rolling forward, like literally like getting pushed. And everyone starts screaming. No one wants to look outside because it's fucking hella spoop. And didn't really expect it. And then once the car stops being pushed, obviously the driver will turn on the car instantly and just drove straight home, and we're out. So after we go back to the university, sleep, next day, guess what happens? The person who was driving the car tells everybody to come outside and check. Her car was really dirty that day, right? Filthy. So she tells us to come outside and check her car. And on the back of her car, it was all dirt. On the back of her car, there's just like 20 different sized handprints on the back of the car from last night, and nobody went out there. All right, we all lived in the same. We all sleep in the same dorm. There was like 5 rooms or something like that, living room, blah blah blah. So everyone was roommates. It was all our roommates, and there's like all kids' hands on the back of the car, like all different sizes. So that was the story. That's what happened. And then I guess we'll go towards the CLG house. Stories. So at the CLG house, I lived in the cabin with Devin, who was the CEO. I think you guys have seen it in like the house tour or something like that. But anyway, we lived in the fucking cabin. That cabin had a cellar. I don't know if you guys know that it had a cellar, but the cellar, you literally wooden cellar. You open it up. There's stairs that go down, and the only thing in a cellar is like this bookcase, right? And that's the house we live in. Nothing else down there, just a bookcase. Like you like lock someone down there, and they're stuck down there. That's what you do. So that's where I was. And so the first thing that had happened, what was the first thing that happened? Okay. The first thing that had happened was whenever you open the cellar door, so we'd always have people come over for tours and shit at our house, and they would always be like, oh yeah, you know, we got a cellar door, come check it out. I'm the one that lives there. I don't really want to check it out, but everybody wants to fucking open it. So every time you open the cellar
for less than 3
door and then close it, that night, fucking random shit started happening. It's so fucking weird. Where just it would only happen around past 12 a.m. Like I'm there sleeping, and just randomly all the time it would be knocks like on the cabinets, literally wooden cabinets everywhere. Every time we would open the cellar door, it wouldn't happen anytime before then or like anything like that. But yeah, knocks on this on the fucking cabinets like all the time, just randomly, just like 1 or 2 quick knocks. I gotta do my rooms. Thank you. All right, that's what started happening. And then what started happening was, for some reason, so I had my room, and then Devin was on the opposite side of the house. So Devin's room was like the most, where I felt really weird every time it was like nighttime. And Devin would always go back to Utah with his fiance for like vacation. So I would be in the house alone. And then he would always leave his door open. And every time I would walk in at night, his side of the house would just feel fucking weird, dude. Like I would walk in the door and instantly look over to his room and feel like something was wrong. Like something was like in there. It was so weird. Anyway, every time we'd open the cellar door, that's what would happen. And then all of the focus, like the energy or intent would focus on like Devin's side of the house. So my side of the house, I was like, okay, just rush to my room. Don't worry about it. Fuck, Devin's got it. No problem. Anyway, so like after a couple times, one day we had a tour come over, and then that night I was like up talking late with Devin until like 3 a.m. Right? And then we went to bed. So we both went to bed at the same time. And oh goodness.
I watched Corpse Party one night. Anime girl with scissors cuts off your tongue. Went to work the next day and a kid came in with a pair of scissors. Didn't come out the stock room for an hour. Didn't keep the job long. Stop it with the stories, D.
Thanks, man. I'm going to keep going. So we went to bed at 3 a.m., right? And as I'm in my bed, you know, getting ready to sleep, blah, 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 just screams the next day, whatever. Oh my goodness. So when you know, I don't know if you guys get the same feeling that I'm talking about, where like, yeah, your chest just like swells up with pressure. Like you're like get fucking hella scared, like something's wrong. Energy just builds up here, blah, blah, blah. But all of a sudden I was just chilling, like looking at something on my phone, and instantly like this rush of negative energy just hit me, and the front door just swung open into my house, and then somebody started stomping around like really fucking hard, like just stomping around in the living room, and then it made a circle and then went through the front door and slammed it again. Okay. And there's no way in fucking hell I'm going out to check. I was just scared out of my fucking life. Like I felt it before the door opened. That negative energy, and then it just left. It's like, what the fuck? So, all right. And then a couple days pass. I didn't say anything to Devin because I thought he was asleep while it happened, and I didn't want to fucking spook his ass. But then I would always have these late night talks with Devin. So the next late night talk that we had, I told Devin what had happened, and he told me the exact same thing that happened. Like exactly. Perfect. Wait, what happened? Can you stop ghosting my stream 3 games in a row? Oh, Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna base, guys. Later. So that's what happened in that cabin house. And then at the same compound around 3 a.m. and shit like that, the house next to us, wow, they got first blood there. What the fuck? Okay. Yeah, the same compound, the neighbor's backyard, they had also had fucking ghosts in their backyard. There was 3 of them. Obviously, you guys, you know, if you don't believe it, whatever, but I believe in that kind of stuff. But anyway, yeah, like at 3 a.m., they had like 3 ghosts in their backyard that would walk around, and our cars were parked like up against the fence next to their backyard. So every time I would go to my car, if you ever went past like 3 a.m., the fence, they would just shake the fence. Right? Fucking hella spook. Wind ghosts. Ghosts are fucking stupid. Oh god. And then I think the last thing is like, other than that, if I ever sleep somewhere, I'll let you know that night if like you have spirits in your house or not. Like instantly. All I need to do is just sleep there one night. So fucking weird. You can come sleep in my bed? Oh, okay. Thanks, guys. Wow. Are you guys going to feed me too?